This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I can't get any Now I have the audio on my laptop. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, now we are gonna have to run audio off of this. If I leave it on there, it echoes. So you guys will have to talk kind of loud.
All right, I think we're back up running again. And hopefully you guys online can hear us somewhat satisfactorily. For those who may have missed anything, Supervisor Duplay was mentioning the fact of water problems continuing to occur along Nightingale from the Hamburg development to the west side. And we will, or I should say, I will contact Jason Tuggle from the county to see what, if anything, they might be able to do to help us as.
I've already contacted him once, and he said that he was gonna forward a letter to you, to all the board members,
When was that?
2 weeks ago.
I haven't seen it. I will.
Yeah.
I will talk to Tuggle.
And he also said that he was gonna send somebody out there with a camera to take pictures, and no one has shown up with a camera either.
Okay, I'll find out what.
I'm just saying, it's gonna cause big problems eventually.
Sure. Sure.
Has anyone considered going directly to Hamburg's and showing them the pictures you have?
You said Hamburg's were out there, right?
Yeah, they're the ones that are doing all the construction. They were just, like I said, they were just there 2 weeks ago.
So they know the problem exists.
Oh, they know it exists.
They were on your street?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, right at the end, and I mean, you can, Dan, you can affirm this, that it's washing out that whole top end of the road.
Yeah, we've been doing this for over a year.
Yeah, I mean, I walked up there and the mud was probably 2 to 3 inches deep up at the top of the hill.
Okay.
I mean, it's an ongoing issue, and when we moved out there, there was no problems with water running down that road.
There wasn't any construction up there either, so.
But-
No, I understand.
But that's the whole point. If
Right.
they're gonna have construction, they're gonna have to take care of this water issue, because wash out all those culverts.
All right. Any other public concerns online or in person? Nothing that you can see, John?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Moving on. Under new business, discuss and consider filling the supervisor 2 vacancy. It's up to you. I was just gonna offer the fact that, Mr. Eichhoff took the effort to, run for the position, even though he was unsuccessful in.
Lost to you.
Huh?
He lost to you.
Well, I wasn't gonna say anything, Troy has been a very valued member of the Plan Commission for the last several years. How long has it been?
Working on the 6th year right now.
6 years? Okay, and, I think between his service on the Plan Commission and the efforts that he expended just getting the nomination papers and getting on the ballot.
He had 670 votes, in case you're wondering. 670 votes.
Okay. So, the public is well aware of his skills and, his personality. And so,
I nominate or move that we appoint Troy Eichhoff to the supervisor 2 position. He also is very knowledgeable about part of the town that I don't know much about, and I do it from his expertise.
he's he's an East Sider. So anyway, there's a motion to appoint Troy Eidkoff to the unfilled Supervisor 2 vacancy. Is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
Motion and a second to approve Troy Eidkoff to the Supervisor 2 vacancy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Congratulations, Troy.
Thank you.
Do you want to put him right to work? I do have an
Sure.
oath of office to swear him in.
Well, do it.
Let's do it.
So if you want to just raise your right hand and read this top part to me.
Says I, Troy Eichhoff, have been elected to or appointed to the office of the Town Board Supervisor 2 position. And then, but have not yet entered upon the duties, therefore swear in, affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
All right, if you want to sign that, then you'll be good to go.
All right.
Thank you.
First thing you can do is sign right under their own name.
All right. Next item, plan commission recommendations. First item, rezone parcel 0711 273 9600 0 east of 3436 North Star Road from RM16 to FP1 and transfer the development right to parcel 0711 144 8011 0 on Ridge Road. That is the Island Phelps who were moving the. Oh, you're here.
I'm here.
Okay.
So if anybody's got a question. Heidi's not lying too, but I know because don't know if Kim here, if she's still on.
She's on.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Well, because there were two parts to this originally, but one didn't make it through apparently. I was up north last week, so. Apparently this is, we're just voting on the transfer of the right, not on a lot of stuff.
Right, you were gonna maybe reconsider the size of the lot and come back
And
to
I
the
do have
planning
that, but do
commission.
I have to propose that to the planning commission? first
That'll
before
have, you'll have to amend your application to the planning commission and the county for that, and do that by Wednesday for the town's purposes.
Okay, so now that, we've already had it drawn up by Dave Reesop. I'm not gonna have time to have a second one drawn. Can I do like a sketch, like this type of thing here?
I mean, you can't approve it tonight, it's for
No,
the
right,
planning
right,
commission.
but can I turn this in? What I'm saying is, how many of these preliminaries am I supposed to keep having him draw up before we come to a
Well, that's
conclusion?
kind of an issue that we've had.
Well, we've got 7 members of the planning commission.
You're not gonna need, you're not
So,
gonna
yeah,
need
well,
a
you have
final
to
map
measure the
until
planning commission
you.
anyway. I'm just gonna show you this, so. So what we're gonna basically do is just increase the lot. I talked to Dave Mule about this, and he said, here's what to do, is just increase the lot size, take 2.5 acres, use a half acre for driveway.
Well, our plan says 2 acres unless there's extenuating total.
I had it at an acre, you guys are letting want more.
No.
So I'll put whatever you guys want me to put on there, but I'm not gonna keep paying for preliminaries and every time he draws up, that's out of my pocket. So you tell me what you want, I'll put anything you want in there.
Okay, in this particular case, seeing that there aren't any extra buildings or landscape features or whatever that would require the lot to be larger than 2 acres, our plan pretty much says that if you're doing the lot size is a max of 2 acres.
So that's what I had on here, I had this written down as, well, I had on this one, I guess, acre and a half, so half acre for the driveway and acre and a half for the lot.
Yeah, acre acre and a half, an acre and a half, or acre and a half acre.
That's what I had in here, I wrote
R2.
it, that's my fault,
Yeah.
I didn't write the driveway. But the reason I had that down there, you know, eventually it's gonna be a cold storage building here and potentially some grain bins, so that's why we're moving it, we have it here so we can make semis come around. You know, that's, I'm gonna get limited on dooryard because, so you tell me what you want, I'll write it down, anything you want. So
2 acres.
right here then, so exactly what I had there is acre and a half acre to drive.
Yep.
Okay, so now you gotta take, so can we get the part of it done tonight?
The part that's on the agenda you can get
And then
tonight.
will this be acceptable to take to this map without having Dave draw up a new one? Can I
Yeah.
get this to those guys by Wednesday or whatever?
Yeah,
So stay-
technically the deadline is Wednesday for this month's plan commission for that second piece, yeah.
All right.
And it doesn't have to be like a certified survey map or anything, I mean,
I
that'll
know,
come
that's what,
later.
that's what I'm having him,
That'll-
I'll have him draw the final one up
Oh,
when we get it all ironed out. That's
Yeah,
what's correct.
Yes,
yeah,
Okay,
we won't make two multiple,
okay.
but 2 acres, or as close as you can to 2 acres, max size
All right.
anyway.
That's fine. I did it just to save the land, so that's why I did it as an acre.
No, I did that, but we were just concerned that by the time you added that half acre for the driveway, you get a half acre for the house, and it doesn't leave much elbow room, you know, and especially seeing that you have the ability to have up to 2.
Okay.
That was me, Kirk, I brought that up, the math wasn't coming out. You have to include.
Well, for us, we're just transferring we just want the right over there. We're not gonna build a house anyway. If we build a house, we're dying. So, you know, we're dying, it's gonna be a small house, we're dying. So, if we start building there, you know, one of us is home. That's how we're dying.
Fine, I'm just-
Ugh.
Say that. Don't say that.
That's a very good reason for doing that. Yeah.
Well, we're just trying to get it out of that area because, you know, you guys know the situation that's over there. And you're not gonna let me build there anyway, and I don't wanna lose the right over there, so I just gotta get the right park somewhere. That's what I'm trying to do, is just get it moved. You know, cause it's gonna get lost over there. So you won't let me build there anyway, so I'll just get it out of there.
Sure.
Alright?
Yep.
Any other questions?
All right. We have a motion.
I move we approve it based on plan commission meetings, that we rezone parcel 0711 273 9600 0 from RM16 to FP1, transfer the development right to parcel 0711 144 8011 0.
second.
Motion on a second to rezone the parcel, and I won't read the numbers all over again for the third time. All right, is there any question?
But
Any further discussion?
Before you go, it would still be an FP1, or would it be an FP2 now if it goes to 2 acres?
No,
I don't know what's
FP1 is how the lot that you're taking the right off of
Okay,
ends
as
up
long as
being.
that's, I didn't know that
This
means 2
isn't
or 1
talking
acre.
at all about the zoning for the new lot, that'll happen in the next portion.
I wanna have that be a little more.
Nothing's easy.
Let's see.
All right,
Purposely make it
there's
that
no
way.
further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alright,
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
And that goes to, that'll go to the county.
So I'll file an action report on that part with the county, but I think the county is gonna like postpone your whole thing so they hear the whole thing together. But they'll at least have the town action on this part.
Alright, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, next item, review the non-metallic mining permit renewal applications and set date for a public hearing.
So there's no changes proposed to any of the quarries, but this is your chance to look at what they have provided, and if you have any questions or want more information before you actually decide at it, this is your chance to ask for that. Otherwise, you can just set the date, which is typically the first Tuesday in June.
First Tuesday,
Tuesday, God,
Monday.
Monday.
Is there any need for changes? I would assume not. since
are there any changes?
They all have
no changes,
said,
right?
no change to since prior town board approval,
And we
so,
haven't gotten any complaints
No.
about any of them?
no.
So, would you like a
I don't think we have to have a motion, do we?
For a
You,
date.
you should set a date, set the date.
Well, let's set the date for June 2nd, the first Monday in June.
Second,
Motion and a second to set the public hearing for the non-metallic mining permit. Second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item. Consideration of revised declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for the plat of Swalheim Business Park.
So the difference here compared to the version that you approved a few months ago is that it does not include those other 3 lots having any responsibility for the cost of the stormwater maintenance. All of the responsibility goes on the lots in the plat.
So my question is, these people do not have to join the covenants. Are they then responsible for their own stormwater, they have to put it on their own retention ponds?
No, because that pond was designed for them too. It's just,
They just get a free,
they pretty much got a freebie, yeah,
why was this revised?
because he wasn't able to get them to sign into it.
Okay.
and the attorney said, no, you can't go back. These people bought a CSM before the plat was established, you can't go back and bring them in.
So our attorney has reviewed this.
We didn't have any problems?
No,
The other thing, I have a question is, the very last page talk about the town is going to lot number 1, do the maintenance. What does that mainly mean, mowing? What does that mean, maintenance?
the town is gonna cause it, all the whatever maintenance is required, so mowing, whatever else might have to be done in the future to, I don't know what, but dig it out if it fills in, that kind of stuff.
One in the pond.
Yeah, but probably the town won't do the work ourselves, we'll hire it out, and then we're gonna bill it to those flat
Yes,
owners.
It's mainly gonna be mowing, mainly mowing.
That's mainly what it is until,
Years and years down the road, we'll probably have to clean it out.
Okay.
so the town will basically monitor it and cause all the maintenance to be done, and those landowners will be billed for it.
Do we have or I should say, do you guys have the list of the affected property owners that would be bound by this?
Well, they don't own it yet, it's the 4 new lots
Oh,
of the
okay.
plat,
Yeah.
so.
So make sure whoever buys them lets Kim know.
Well, they have to look at the covenants before they close.
Yeah,
Right, but I'm still saying we
Yeah.
need to know.
well, we'll be able to get that from tax records,
Okay.
and it'll be special assessed on their tax bill.
Okay.
So, the big thing is, we're gonna have to find the contractors that we want to do the work for the mowing. We'll have to start thinking about that.
Unless I do it myself for the time, I've been doing it myself.
Yeah, until
Yeah.
it's
Till I get
really
old.
turned over to us,
Older.
yeah.
Yeah.
But once it's turned over to us, then the town will be responsible for it, so.
Maybe if you want to bid for the job.
Yeah, am I open for that?
There's nothing says you can't.
So in Article 2 of the association, is that set up, the establishment of the association? Is that, I know you don't have any owners right now, correct?
No, I don't.
Okay, so do you have the documents for that?
Oh, yes, right now, I'm the whole committee until I get it. Each time I get an owner, hopefully they'll join one. I need 3.
Don't they have to join
Yeah,
Yeah, they do, the new ones do, the old ones don't.
in order to purchase?
But they don't have to become an officer, I'll have to ask them to do that.
What if no one wants to be an officer?
To be king.
If they're landowners, they're gonna want part of it.
Yes, they're gonna, yes,
Thank you.
yes.
I don't think it would be a case of me, myself, and I kind of thing.
our lawyer doesn't have any problems with this.
No. It's essentially the same as what was already approved, except the fact that the town will only be billing those 4 lots, not the other 3 that were part of that original CSM.
Do we have to reapprove it?
Yes. Yeah,
Then I move that we reapprove the revised declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for the plat of Wellheim Business Park.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the declaration of covenants for the Swalheim Business Park. Is there a date of this document? So we can kind of.
I don't think they
You can establish
redated
a date at
anything.
the top.
What's that?
You can establish a date at the top of it. The first
Yeah,
page.
there you go.
And I think that'll be when the county signs the plat. That's the
Well,
official plat.
I just want to make sure that the document that we're approving tonight is what gets presented to the folks down the road after.
Well, this'll have to get recorded, and we'll get a copy back to verify that the right one was recorded.
Okay.
Article 10 is the stormwater measures. It's got a date and them signing for it and everything, so there is actually a date
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any
Who was
further
this?
discussion?
Who was the second?
Me.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
So
Thank you.
Dwayne, I will need you to come in, because I need you to sign this, and it's gotta be notarized.
I've already done that. Ken and I signed it at Baron got notarized.
Okay, so then you're gonna need to get us, let's see, this one doesn't have town signatures.
You're
huh?
talking about the plat?
No, this
Oh, this.
document.
Yeah, but that one, we won't do that until the plat is recorded. isn't
This
it?
has gotta be recorded with the plat.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're gonna need to sign this and get it notarized. It doesn't have town signatures, I guess, so, which is weird. I don't know, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, go from there. Okay, thank you.
Next item, consideration of epoxy repairs to the police station garage floor.
Yeah, the officers were asking for this because the floor over there is pretty bad in the garage area. So I just did some research. I contacted a few of the companies that do it for.
Really expensive.
Yeah, they're really expensive. They're in the thousands.
Are we responsible for this?
It's our officers requesting it, I guess.
Well, but I'm
We
just
could
asking.
ask Houston to do it if you want.
Well, you know, it's their responsibility.
I'd be more than happy to go ahead and ask them. I have when I was down at the police station here last week, I was shown a couple of drawers and a couple of closet doors that are kind of coming off the hinges down there, and that to me is definitely property owner type maintenance. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, so
Yeah,
I'll certainly
I agree. We can put this in abeyance till next meeting.
Sure.
That's what I would think, you know.
I mean, and the other thing to do would be to look at the lease and see if this is kind of a,
Iffy area.
probably kind of a iffy one, but,
Well, that's what they're doing with this.
Kind of thing.
yeah, it's not really a required maintenance thing, as, I mean, there might be,
Are you gonna have to patch the concrete before you? apply it?
We were just gonna put it over it.
Okay.
The way it is.
I mean,
Places you need to
like,
scrape up and.
There's not any deep hole.
No, there's no big concrete misses, but yeah. I mean, there's in the kit with, they have some concrete repair stuff in there, so for pits and stuff. Table it.
There's a motion to hold an abeyance till the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
it was Sponger, right?
Yep. Motion and a second to hold this meeting, item in abeyance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, committee appointments.
So what I gave you has highlighted in yellow the ones that were expiring, and everybody has agreed to continue. There was one person that contacted me who was wondering if there were any openings. I told her that typically the town's policy has been to offer it to the person whose term is expiring, and then if they don't want it, we would go out and see if we can find anybody else that wants to do it, but
Who wanted that?
Susan Beck. So, but anyway, everybody has agreed to continue. So those are all highlighted and their extended term dates are included. The only committees that we have citizens on are Plan Commission, Emergency Government, and Parks.
I think they look good. The one question I have is about Parks Committee, in that most of these committees are pretty well balanced around the town. The Parks Committee has 3 members that live very close to each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, should I see where she lives?
I mean,
I don't know if she'd be interested in parks or not. I thought maybe,
I don't have any question. I just think it's nice to try and balance it if you can.
I mean, we never seem to have people knocking down the walls to do these things, but
Well, I know Linda's been around all the parks. I think most of the people on there have, and it's not like they,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Right, I don't have any problem
Yeah.
with any of the decisions. I think they've been very generous wherever people have asked. They said yes.
Very true, everybody's been very receptive to requests outside their home area, for lack of a better word.
Very receptive. Yes. It's just a thought, and I'm not pressing for any change or anything, just thought it would be good to mention it so we can think about future meetings.
That's how politicians get in trouble.
Well, actually, I was gonna kind of suggest something too, is that it'd be nice to, like, and this was something that Chris and I had talked about, it'd be nice to see some of the committees get changed around next year a little bit. You know,
she must have her name blocked on Access Dana. I don't have access to anything else right at this moment.
but, you know, next year when we look at this, you know, maybe change up some of the committees.
You mean for people on the board, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the fire commission now, for one, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could discuss it next time.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it as, keep that in mind for next time.
Yeah, the Parks Committee is all, other than Steve, are all residents that, and of course Dan is a resident too.
Oh, yeah, they're
Not
all
necessary,
residents.
it's not necessary he would be on there, but he is, and he loves it.
Do you really?
I think it is by definition that he's on there.
Has to be
I don't think there's probably a regulation that says that.
It is in our ordinance.
Don't get so smart with me.
Man.
Boy. And the chairman too, is that?
I think so, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't even be a change on that one.
You need a motion?
Yes, please.
I move that we, I don't know, I establish the committee members as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the committee list for the township as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank
So
you.
another thing that I learned this year in researching this from talking to the Towns Association is that on the Plan Commission, we've always had the Plan Commission elect the chair. but the town chair is supposed to appoint the chair of the plan commission and the board is supposed to confirm it. So with this, I think you should also include who should be the chair of the plan commission. I think that was in one of those emails that I sent you.
Chris Hampton.
Well, he was he normally the chair?
Correct,
Yeah.
because he
And
was
he
the
wanted
chair,
to be.
because he was the chair.
Yeah,
So we could appoint him then and get our revenge on him.
yeah.
Decades ago, when I was on the plan commission during the Gene Score era, he was always the chair.
Mm-hmm. What's up to you, Steve? Actually,
The difficult part about having somebody that's not on the board be the chair is getting agendas done, because that's who sets the
And
agenda.
also meeting with people ahead of time and coordinating,
Right.
which
so you want to be the chair then, or
I
what?
would, yes.
Okay, well,
So
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to appoint the town chair to be the plan chair.
There you go. Holy chairs.
Yes.
In the center chair.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, consideration of creating an assigned general fund balance for future recognition expenses.
So at the end of 2024, we had 1,400,000 left.
That's a different topic.
Oh.
What Steve is talking about is, it's always such a challenge when we want to do a retirement party
Oh,
for
that's the
somebody.
other issue, yeah.
If we want to do send flowers, it's for a funeral, where do we get that money from? Should it be using taxpayer dollars? And then we're always trying to collect from everybody. And so Steve has already given a pretty generous donation towards this idea of having just a pot of money that's assigned that can only be used for whatever you guys might decide would be an appropriate use.
How much are you suggesting?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it would come from donations, so somebody would have to donate, you know,
Oh,
Steve
it's a
already.
donation thing. Okay.
Steve already has, I would probably put some money in, you know, but I mean, just to have something in the kitty that, you know, could be used for that kind of stuff without hitting taxpayer money. Or because it's just always so controversial, you know, should we be spending town money on this or not? Or wherever that money might come from, you know, I don't know, like whatever other gifts you might get, you could maybe choose to put into that, things like that. But you could, the question is, do you want to, you know, take what Steve gave so far, stick it aside and call it, I don't know what the right name for it. The only word I can think of is recognition, but there's probably a better word, of an assigned fund. And then you should,
Recognition and retirement, something like that.
yeah, whatever
That's
you want.
normally what we. do
Or,
it for.
I mean, it also is like funeral flowers, get-
Recognition. same
get
thing.
well flowers. Those are the ones that challenge us here. How do we pay for that stuff? So I guess I think if you're gonna make a motion to create that fund, you should also create a list of things that are eligible to use it for. And if you guys wanna, and then you guys, I guess, would have to allocate those funds each time. Or you could say something like, funeral flowers up to a certain amount for who, you know, I mean, so that we did, because those aren't like usually going to happen when there's a board meeting. You know, so you can think about this. We don't have to do this right now. It's more maybe to start the thought process, or maybe just create the fund and think later about what exactly that you want to have in it, have it available to be used for.
Like Kim said, just, we need a place to put the money officially, you know, and that was the purpose of adding this agenda item, was for Kim to be able to have permission to create a spot to show whatever, you know, I mean, if Dan finds $10 out in the road while they're shouldering and wants to donate it to the fund, we've got a place to put it.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know,
Mhm.
and this
No more
way,
pocketing.
it makes it cleaner and more efficient to, in the case of, say, a bereavement or some car, you know, whatever.
There's a
that we
budget thing in,
No, we would create, just like we have an assigned fund for welcome signs, we have an assigned
Okay.
fund for the emergency services building, you know, all those funds that are just, they don't, they stay there year to year. That money, until it is spent, stays there and is available, but you have to allocate it then. You guys decide to use those funds.
It would be a budget.
It's not
It
a,
would be a
it's,
line item.
it's
in the
not a,
budget.
it's not a budget line item, it's a fund balance, it's on the balance sheet. So it's like all your other funds,
that's what I was asking.
yeah. Be just like the welcome sign funds, the emergency service building funds, the Pleasant Springs funds. It's money that sits on the balance sheet until the board says to use it.
Like the cemetery fund.
That's kind of like, that's gone now, that's
Oh,
used up, but
never
that's sort of like that. That was a little different, but yeah.
I think it's a good idea, and I'm willing to contribute money for it.
Awards and recognition fund or?
Sure, that's a good,
I like that. It might, awards and decks.
We call it the R fund. AR.
The pirate fund.
All right, I know we had a motion. Did anybody second that?
did Christie, was that a
That
motion?
was a motion.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
My second.
Motion and a second to create the assigned fund balance for the awards and recognition fund.
That we're contributing to.
Correct.
And then do you want to do you want to think a little bit about what eligible uses are and talk
Yeah,
about that
sure.
later?
We can do that.
Next agenda?
All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, discuss possible uses of unassigned funds in 2025.
So I just knew that from the annual meeting, there were questions about what exactly do we have that we could use. And so I just did this quick little analysis. And so if you want to be at 25% of this year's budget, you could spend $516,000. If you want to be at 20%, you could spend $696,000. So the things to use that money for would be to like pay for something that you were going to borrow for. So instead of borrowing for something, like this year we're borrowing for the package for that Western Star truck, for example. I think that was about $120,000. We were going to borrow for that. You could pay for that instead. You could pay for some or all of the road construction instead of doing your short-term loan. So that's one way to use it, or you could obviously use it for additional projects. And one project that I'm going to bring up here, I've just started getting some pricing to get some ideas, but you probably all heard that Windows 10 is going to sunset in October. Unfortunately, none of our computers can be updated to Windows 10 because they all require dual core processors. So I've been getting a couple of, and you know, they're all, what's really frustrating is they're all perfectly good computers, but you can't patch them. So then you've got vulnerabilities, and not only is that a concern for us, but especially is because we're on the WISFOTE system, and the Elections Commission is not going to like that if we can't keep up on patches. They haven't offered any money towards it yet. I've asked them about that. Anyway, I think it's going to be, we only have $2,000 in the budget this year. I think it's going to be 10 to 12,000 to do everything. I'm going to have two prices by the next meeting. But that's one thing that I would suggest you might want to do, is just take some of those unassigned funds and bring us up to, and just to give you an idea, in the office, the deputy clerks are working on one computer that we've had since 2015. Several of them are 2019s, and then yours is 2016 or 17, I think. So that none of them are, I mean, the newest one is maybe 21. That's the one that Deb Abel had at home. So none of them are, I mean, most of them are, they're getting older. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Probably will.
so I'm gonna get some prices, but that's one thing I would maybe ask for a little piece of that money to go towards, and that's really the biggest idea I have. And I don't think you're meant to decide on the rest tonight either, but at least you now have the number in front of you and you can start thinking.
That'll be a next meeting's agenda item.
What was our lowest, available? 25, 20, you said. What does our ordinance say?
Our policy says that it should be between 20 and 25% of the budget.
So that would give us 516,000.
If you wanted to be at 25%, it's 516,000.
I personally would want to see it below 25%.
Well, why not? What do we use it for? In case there's a hurricane or what?
Remember that it's also, I mean, there's two pieces to it. It's a percentage of your budgeted expenses. So like this year, our budgeted expenses were lower than last year because last year we were still spending ARPA funds. And so the percentage went up even though the actual dollars that we had this time last year is down. So if your budget goes up next year, that number drops again. So remember that it's two pieces of a moving target. Yeah, right.
Plus, we're gonna end up having to put on a new roof eventually too.
What was the 24 or 23 budget? What was that?
Give
Or
me
the 2024 budget?
20 here. Hold on. Let me pull something up. '24 budgeted expenses were $4,414,000. And this year,
1,415,000 we didn't spend.
no, that's
You're talking to 20.
no, because last year your unassigned funds that were at 1.6 million. This year they're at 1.4 million. So
Okay.
we did spend, but again, that number is dependent on what not that number, I guess.
25% of 5 million versus 25%
Yeah.
of 4 million.
Why can't we take that money and put it in a separate fund somewhere out of this money for this coming year or whatever? Why does it have to be part of this budget every year? Why can't we put it in a?
Well, it's not. It's your carryover. It's just a carryover.
I understand that, but why is there a carryover? When our budget is 400 or 4 million, and we have 1,400,000 that we over budgeted?
No, because a year ago you had 1.6.
Yeah,
So
I
you
understand
actually
that.
spent
Yeah.
some down.
I know we can't lower.
You actually did spend some down
Yeah, we did.
last year. Not as much as you planned to because you still had a surplus last year.
Okay.
Where
did that go? That went into the.
that added it to the 1.4.
Okay.
So you spent it down, what you thought you spent it down below 1.4, let's say.
I thought we did.
But then because there was a surplus last year, it pulls back up partway, So, and I mean, you don't want to have losses and spend all of that. I mean, you want to have something left over every year. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble somewhere along the line.
But what I'm just saying is that why can't we take 696,000 and put in a rainy day fund kind of thing?
Well,
That's what it is.
It changes all the time. You put it in the bank and get some interest.
it is in the bank. It's all in the
Are they
bank.
getting interest on it?
It's all getting interest. It's part of our checking account. It's sitting out there. We're getting like 4.7% interest on it. So we're
You
making.
wanna pay more?
And
No, I just don't.
I mean,
want
you could just like we talked about with this other assigned fund, if you had some future purpose for it and you wanted to start setting some aside for that, I guess you could do that, just like they do with the emergency
Yeah.
service building fund, that
I think
kind
we
of
should
thing.
put it towards the emergency service building fund myself, but that's just me.
Well, that can be part of it,
I know, but.
But
like
once you tie it up that way, you can't use it for anything else.
I agree,
Where when
but
it's floating as unassigned funds, you can decide as you go what you really need to use it for. So that's where I'm saying you can decide if there's more projects that you want to do, things that you want to use it for. And if you don't use it this year, it's going to probably be there next year unless you lose money this year. But you can decide if you'd rather buy something than finance it. You can decide if there's something you didn't think you could afford, but now you can. You know, that's what that money can be used
That
for.
should be another issue that we look at,
Yes.
how to spend that money,
correct.
and get down to 20, whatever, you know what I mean? So
Spend it down.
we don't get to the point where we have that much
Like
money left.
50%
Yeah.
or anything else.
Yeah, cause it's just getting carried over.
I mean, if you don't, so if you were slated to borrow 125,000 or something like that, isn't that what that package is for the Western Star, something like that? You were slated to borrow that next year, then that's going to bump your levy up next year. If you pay for it instead, then your levy doesn't get bumped up to pay those loan payments in the future. So that's one way you could use it. You know, those are
I just
things to
didn't,
consider.
when the mill rate came out, I guess I was stupid on the budget or something when it came out so high on our, I had so many people ask me about it.
Well, it was debt
But I
service.
didn't realize that we were gonna make it that high. I guess I screwed up in my brain or something.
Well, because you borrowed a lot of money last year and
Yeah,
we have to pay
I
it back.
understand that. Yeah.
And I don't have any problem giving you, upwards of $15,000 to get new computers.
Well, I don't think we're gonna need that much, but I'll get two prices on
No,
it.
I think those things are logical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too, because, I mean, either that or you're gonna have to find it in the budget next year. I mean, and
Yeah, so I would just say, we could just
so let me
plan
get,
on spending
let me
$15,000.
get the prices for the next meeting for that. But then think about what the other things that you might wanna do this year that you didn't think you could.
How's the workload for crew? You guys loaded up this year?
Yeah, we're always busy. It's kinda nice though.
You better say that.
It's kinda nice though. Yeah.
How much did we plan on spending on the roads this year?
Our normal,
300,000,
350,
350?
80 chip seal.
So there's another one, you could
There's
decide not to
some
do
more
a
of that. We can
short-term
always,
loan, and that helps your levy.
Is there any other projects that you'd like to do?
The only thing to remember is that was where we kind of got in trouble, is we didn't borrow for road construction in '23. We used unassigned and ARPA a little bit. So then our levy went down in '23. So then it came up again because then we borrowed again. And that's one of the reasons why we've borrowed, like in the past, we've always borrowed for a truck every 5 years, because we always have a loan then versus having a year without a loan. And then you go back and then your levy starts going up and down for the years you borrow and the years you don't. So keep that in mind too. And that's kind of why it looked like it went up so much in '24, because people forgot that it went down in '23.
But it's almost like you gotta spend, you gotta spend. Nothing about
we
ever
borrowed that
saving
shit
money,
last year
it's
for
about
road
spending
Yes.
all the time.
But we're gonna need a new roof over there.
Yeah,
too,
I'm
eventually.
not saying anything against it, I'm
We're
just
probably
saying,
like, what are we, 30% coverage on that though?
right, stay with me.
What's
Our
portion?
percent is only 30%. Yeah.
You need it?
Yeah, we need it, we get it.
If you don't, you want to collect it.
Yeah,
So just some things to think about.
Like something to stabilize the money.
yeah.
Anything else? Next item, consideration of purchasing iPads for town board members' use. That was something that I came up with. One thing I've noticed since taking over as chair, the amount of emails that I get is just from dawn till dusk is a lot, 20 times. But anyway, my point being is that I'm not always on my home computer, where I normally would look at stuff, and some of the stuff requires me to look at something during the daytime. And what I wanted, I don't want a computer, but I had asked for an iPad, like this, that I'll have my town email come in on, which I can carry with me, look and respond almost instantaneously, you know, and an iPad. Kim and I figured out with iPad and a nice cover, protective cover for it was what, $400?
That's only a wireless one though, so I mean, if you need one that has cell service, that's a different,
No, I just,
you know. But I think that that's a good idea because I think you guys should be moving more away from having all the town business on your personal devices. You know, because of open records requests. I mean, technically you're at risk of, you know, when I ask you, do you have any communication about this that fits this open record request, and then you say no, and they don't believe you, they can search all your personal stuff. So
I've
if,
got an iPad already that I just use for.
so if you have a town issued iPad or whatever, you should be just using that. You know, it was a big relief to me when I got a personal phone and I can get all the town stuff off of my, or a business phone, to get something off of my computer, my phone. I was using it for all kinds of stuff. I had to, you know. So I think that's a good idea.
Are you saying they can search your whole computer, not just like your email account?
They can search I don't know, we've never
Personal
been
messages,
subject
yeah.
to it, but I mean, everything is on your, if it's on your personal device, then they, you know, that it's never happened here, but technically they can,
No, we got one guy it could happen.
so.
We all know who that is. So.
So anyway, I think that's a good idea for sure for the town chair, but I think if the rest of you, that's another thing maybe you should look at unassigned funds for. If the rest of you think that that's something you would do, then, you know, just quit using. And the other thing is, if you're struggling, I know some of you sometimes struggle because you log into Chrome and now you got two profiles because you have your own Gmail and you have this Gmail. You can just get all your personal stuff off of the town business and all the town business off of your personal and keep it all segregated.
I would appreciate that.
Like I said, I've got my laptop at home and it's just used for the town email.
Laptop
So-
or iPad?
Laptop. I mean, I do everything on my phone.
The other thought I had, if you mentioned the iPad, we might be able to get away from having Dan have to deliver everything on Friday if we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I would still give you paper copies, but if you didn't, because I've seen too many other where they spend the whole meeting scrolling and they aren't
Yep.
even listening to what's
That's
being said.
exactly what I don't want to see.
Yeah, so I
would
think that,
much rather get the paper copies.
I mean, maybe you don't need the paper copies ahead of time, but I think at the table you do.
I definitely would want one for the planning commission, especially.
Yeah.
Planning commission, definitely.
Yeah, the big
The
stuff.
detail necessary for plan, yeah, okay. But maybe less would have to be copied.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, you might start making a little better use of all of the Google Workspace apps that you have by having some of your own documents stored on Google Drive and, you know, things, and getting easier access to the shared stuff that we have out there because it's set up for you on something versus you trying to find it at home. I don't know, but I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
I would appreciate it.
I think I like the idea of keeping it separate if you had the potential for having to give up your devices to be searched.
Mm-hmm.
Then I definitely don't want that on my phone.
Right.
Computer.
Right.
Whether I would want like an iPad, anything, even an older one that will be able to use the new Windows on would be fine with me, like a laptop. I've got
Oh,
one at home. I don't care. It doesn't have to be anything special.
and this isn't, my thought process behind it was the fact that it was not going to be mandatory by any stretch.
mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, it would definitely help me immensely. And I was just after discussing with Kim that we just throw it out to the rest of the board, and if you guys said yes or no, okay, Christie would like one, okay, I'll add you to the list. And,
I would then take all the town stuff off my home computer.
Yeah.
I do, and I've got a lot on mine
Yeah.
that I would just, yes.
That would be wonderful, actually.
Well, you don't get rid of them after you read them?
I do,
Okay.
most of them, but I still have some.
No, I have like 3, I think.
You shouldn't be getting rid of all of your emails, cause that's I mean,
No, but like I said, I have my laptop, I have
yeah.
a file for you, a file for Amber, and a file for,
Just remember that your emails are public records, and
I
so
know.
when you're having conversations, don't get rid of those. You're supposed to
Well,
keep,
you gotta be careful when
you're
you're
keep them
supposed to,
all.
conversing with somebody.
you're supposed to keep those. You know, the emails that you just get telling you about a meeting coming
Yeah.
up and stuff like that, you don't need to keep those. But if you have a conversation with anybody, you need to keep
I think
those.
I've got like 10 years worth of stuff from you.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't gonna happen with me, so. But it's a good idea.
I'll think about it. You need a motion tonight for me, or just?
I would, just as long as it's on the agenda.
Or to
And-
the future agenda, I'm for that.
and
Well,
then
do you want it, so,
approve the concept, so to speak, tonight, and then when we discuss the fund balance stuff.
But you look into some prices, correct?
well, we've already looked at that. I mean, at
Oh, yeah?
350 will get, that's what we figured about, 350 will get the iPad in a good case. And so, you know, if you got 2 people that know they want them, you could allocate up to 700 for 2 iPads out of unassigned funds. You could do that tonight. There are 3 or however many people
Well,
know
I take one, you know,
that they want one.
All right.
it'll be passed on to
Yeah,
another person later.
that'll be
obviously.
property of the town, yeah.
Right.
Maybe it's just wise to get enough.
Well, like I
Yeah,
said,
sure.
we could look at it next week or in 2 weeks.
I would rather not wait 2 more weeks.
Well, we can
Okay.
approve one for you tonight.
Well, no, but
Well-
I'm saying if Christie, Mike, and.
What are we
or,
talking
excuse me,
about, you
Christie,
said?
Mike and I, you know, you
How
don't
much
have.
I'm not
did
gonna be
you
the
say?
only one.
$350 each.
$700 for 4? I'd make a motion, we spend no more than $1,500 on iPads for town board members.
Second.
Does that make sense? Is that enough?
Say 350?
4
I would
people,
say
yeah, 1,400.
Pardon?
I would say
That'll-
2,000.
That's enough for 4 of them.
Yeah,
4 of
that's
them.
what I'm saying.
Well, no, but then it's stupid not to get 5.
Okay.
Okay, then we
Just
make
tell
it,
me.
1750.
yeah, so we make it no more than $1,850.
Fine with the second.
Okay.
Motion,
And use unassigned funds.
Yes.
Yes,
motion by Founder, second by Christie, to spend up to $1,850 for 5 iPads and cases for town board official use. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's good.
But that's just and out in the service.
It'll be Wi-Fi. You can hook it up to the Wi-Fi at your home, or whatever. There's no cell service or just
For a
subscription. to go
hotspot
along
to your
with it.
phone.
Yeah, you don't need the additional cost there.
I figured most everybody's got Wi-Fi at their home anyway, or work or wherever. Next item, consideration of check signers and online banking users.
Okay, so, the statute says the town clerk, the treasurer, and the town chair, the town clerk and the town treasurer have to sign checks. And the municipalities can add more if they want to. Our ordinance says clerk, treasurer, and town board chair. What we've always done in the past is, and so since I've been clerk treasurer, it's been me, one of the deputy clerks, actually Amber, and the town chair, and Steve has been an alternate. And what we've always done is, like, Steve as the alternate signs when any of the above are not available, out of town or something. Well, so obviously we need to get Chris off there. I had Amber added back when she started. Jen is not. I would like to ask that Jen be allowed to sign checks too, not the 2 of them at the same time, but thinking of, one of them is the clerk, I'm the treasurer. I think I'm going to eventually deputize Jen, I think, as a deputy treasurer, so then she could be the treasurer if I wasn't here, but anyway. two from the office and one from the board, and then we still should have an alternate on the board so that if the town chair is gone, one of you is authorized to sign. So that's what I would like to do, is I would like to have it be me, Amber, and Jen, Steve, and one of you, and then 3 sign at a time, 2 from the office and 1 from the board. So, and so that would be the Lake Ridge bank accounts, which is where all the checks go out of. We also have that that account at one community bank that we never write checks from. We had to have an account there to have that loan for North Star Road. Really, all I ever use that account for is to transfer money to pay the loan. But there needs to be 3 check signers there too, and currently that's me, Chris, and Steve. So I would just say whoever is going to be the other board check signer on that one should be on the one community bank one too. That one never gets used. But
What do other places do? Don't they use more part-time people on the board than clerks and treasurers and stuff? I don't know. I'm just asking you a question.
I don't know. It's more
Well,
part-time.
Because we're elected officials.
So like I said, our ordinance says checks should be signed by the clerk, the treasurer, and the town board chair. So basically, because I'm the clerk treasurer, that's me and a deputy clerk and the town board chair.
Kind of seem like I'd always see Steve writing it or signing the checks here.
He has been, because Amber is the only one in the office that can do it. And so if she's not there the next few days after a board meeting, Steve has been signing as a third person so that I can get the checks out the door.
Okay.
So that's another reason why Jen and Amber should both be able to sign checks, because their schedules change, and sometimes the check signer hasn't been here for several days after the checks are approved.
But you're gonna have to have one board member to sign, correct?
So I need Steve, and then I'd like to have one more board member so
Yeah,
that
that's what I'm-
if Steve is out of town, they can sign as in his place. Yeah. So for Lake Ridge Bank, I'd like to have all 3 of us in the office, Steve and one more that are possible.
I do it.
3 sign at a time.
So do you need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I move that we appoint Mike Founder and also have Jen get 3 check signers.
In addition, and so this is like a
Additional.
start all over again. So it's going to be, I mean, the clerk.
Okay, so it should be Kim, Amber, Jen from the office, and Steve plus an alternate of Mike Founder from the board.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion and a second to have Mike Fonger be the alternate town board member and Jen be the alternate town office person to sign checks for Lake Ridge Bank. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the other check. You
And
said
then,
there's other
and then I don't know
motions.
if you want to do another motion, or if you want to just replace Chris Hampton with Mike Fonger at one community bank.
Yes,
One for Community One Bank?
That's the rest of the motion.
Perfect. All right. Any discussion on the addition to the original motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
The other part of that was online banking users, and so all 3 of us in the office are online banking users. Chris was, but he really didn't ever utilize it. I asked Steve if he wanted to be an online banking user, and he didn't seem to see a reason.
I
So
don't
I'll
believe
just
I need to.
I'll
I
just-
mean, if there's the need develops, we can always revisit it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll have Chris removed from that, so it's just the 3 of us in the office. But with the payroll process that we do, the chairman still approves the report on paper before we finalize the approvals at the bank, so he's still involved in the process. He's just not logging into the bank like the rest of us are.
And that has names of where everything goes and everything, the
Yes.
report.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That's what he's verifying, is that we paid the right people the right amount.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, and it
First of all,
matches.
I approve the time cards, and then after Kim processes the time cards into checks, so to speak, I then review that amount and compare it to what's gonna be coming out of the bank
Right,
on payday.
right.
and it matches. All right, next item, consideration of attendees for WTA new and continuing officials workshop.
Not me.
New official.
That would be me. So it's July 16th and 17th? That's what I'm looking at.
This is the, May 13th through 22nd, or a webinar June 2 through 5. Where is it?
So that's on the back. That's the
Yeah,
date.
so there's one, so the closest one is probably Barneveld on the 13th. That's gonna be a quick one to get.
Well, you want to
registered
go to
for.
cable, don't you? Cable Wisconsin.
That's where I'd go.
What?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Good mileage.
Fond du Lac, that's not, that's short distance from here, really.
I'm not gonna be able to hit early registration for that because it's supposed to be 10 days in advance, so there wasn't really much we could do about that because he wasn't appointed till tonight, but if, otherwise, if he wants to do, there's really nothing else close. The online one in June,
I could do that, that'd be fine too, if you, it's okay with everyone here.
Sure,
Sure, that's fine.
definitely.
all right,
You want a motion?
yeah,
Okay, I move that we, appoint Troy to attend the WTA new and continuing officials workshop, the webinar in June.
Second.
Motion and a second to allow Troy to attend the new person webinar for town board supervisors through the WTA. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, consideration of the SRM and USSS education opportunities.
Well, I want to take and, have this brought up at that, emergency government meeting. All three, actually, all three things that are left here, and see if somebody would like to go to some of this stuff.
good idea.
Then we got the courses that, we had looked at, I still got it on my computer, I still got it, so. And, it's about being able to take these courses at like a meeting or so on. So that maybe we should put on the agenda next, if our lawyer says that's okay. We're taking classes, these,
I know I still have to do the ICS 100 training.
Tim's would take it down who's got what.
Yeah, this is what I know about at least.
And it's both the people on the board and
Just like me.
emergency government people should be taking them, obviously. I should have taken more too.
Dan at least, and some of, maybe even all the guys should be too.
Yeah. But we could probably on, give a night, we could take it on the computer, whatever.
Some of them you can, some of them
Yeah.
I think you have to, like ICS 300 that I took, had to be in person. That was a doozy.
That was in person?
Yeah, that was in person on my birthday.
Oh my God.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but yeah, still remember.
A lot of these you don't need, but the first three at least,
The first 3 are all online,
yeah, so
and
that could be done.
and then anything beyond that, I think you pretty much have to.
Stephanie, she's taken almost all of this stuff, cause that's what
Because
she
of
works
the,
doing.
yeah.
I'm not gonna go to any WTA training.
You wanna ask the emergency government though, if they wanna go to
The other, yeah,
this SRM stuff?
ISD training, whatever it is.
Well, there's ICS.
Yeah, and this too,
Okay,
both. We'll put that on the agenda for next Tuesday. And that other thing about streams.
okay. Well, you have to, yeah.
And that'd be it for the meeting.
So you said the first three are available online?
Yeah, they used to be, unless they've changed
Yeah, I
something.
think they still are.
I took them online,
I did too.
yeah.
I need to find
But which,
where online.
which one do we, for the ICS 100, do we just do the intermediate or the introduction?
So I think that actually like 700 comes first, because that's an intro to the whole NIMS system, and then 100 comes after that, and then 200, and then 300, 400. But I think the first one you're supposed to take is IS 700, and I can try to find, like, I can find it to point you in the right directions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So let's see, Fonger, you've taken the first two. So I can, for each of you, if you want, I can try to find, you have to sign up, you have to create an ID and keep track of it and all that kind of stuff. And then, you kind of progress
You get
through
a
it.
diploma and everything. And
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the online ones, there's no cost associated, or there wasn't when I did them. But then if you want to take them in person, there's some options here from Wisconsin Emergency Management, or if you want to take any of the more advanced ones. There's not much around here though.
Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Yeah, but I bet that's full, because
Yeah, by this time I'm sure it is.
But it's easy to take on the internet.
yeah. So do you want me to do that, to just send you
Yes,
each a
please.
link of how to
Yes.
get to?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good. Like I said, both of these last two should be on the agenda for emergency government.
And then, so do you want to see if someone from emergency government wants to go to this July 16th thing,
that's it,
and then if
that's-
not, come back to the town board, or what do you want
Yeah,
to do
that
about
could be.
that?
As long as we have
Or does somebody from the board want to go?
or
I
if it
can
turns
go.
out, it's, there's more people wanna go, then we set that up as a meeting. As long as there's enough people to go,
Oh,
or whatever.
I don't know what you mean, but
Have it for instead of having a meeting that month.
well,
that-
but each person, for the ICS training, you have to go through your own.
Yeah,
can't
I'm
do
talking
that.
about this SRM USS presentation at Sewanee.
Oh, I see.
Isn't there one in Monona too, though?
I don't know.
Terrorism tactics and trends.
How to be a terrorist?
Well, this one on here is in Waukee. Oh
It
yeah,
says
you're
on
right.
the
Yeah,
front sheet, on the front page.
yeah, correct. One is in June, one's in July. And it says free training for both, I think, doesn't it?
So they're saying they'd like to have at least one person from each municipality be part of day one, so July 16th at Wanakee. And then additionally, there's an event on June 25th at MG.
Yeah, this is to go to Jay McMullen. He retired like 3 months ago.
Oh,
Jerry McMullen?
Jay McMullen, yeah.
no, this is Jeremy McMullen, the chief of
Oh,
Monona, that is Jerry,
that's the guy?
Jerry over at
Oh,
Deer
Monona,
Grove,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
He wasn't thinking of retiring last time.
No, no.
I guess I would, as far as at least day one over at, Wanakee, Mike, I'd open
Yeah.
it up to anybody on your emergency government
And I'd like to go
team
more.
that would wanna go.
Yeah, there's no fee or anything, so.
Are you gonna pay per diems for that?
Might as well.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
July 16th,
Wednesday,
Wanakee,
Yeah,
Wednesday the 16th.
8 AM.
Is it 8 AM?
Right here, it says
And I would say we go to the, no limit for attendance on day one. I don't think there's,
that's gonna be limited on day two
yeah,
to the school districts.
so that we don't need to go to that, so just the one day. Whoever wants to go.
So you guys gonna put, everybody sign themselves up?
I'm sorry?
Everybody that wants to go should sign themselves up?
Yes.
Sign us up, each of us?
You sign yourself up if you wanna go?
Okay.
We're not gonna have a quorum of the board there, so.
Yeah.
we won't
Well,
have
if you
quorum.
end up, if you're gonna go and you sign up, you should probably let me know in case there is gonna be a quorum of the board that I need
Yeah,
to.
I will
if
not be
Mike
going.
wants to go with me.
Right, that's true,
That's two.
right.
If
Okay.
anybody else goes, then it's
Hey, you wanna go?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, well, we can allow Troy,
Move past it.
okay.
Once you
Allow
sign up,
three.
just forward your confirmation to me, and that'll
Right.
be your, basically as long
Do
as
we
you,
have to post it then
if
three
it,
go?
yeah, if three go, I have
We
to.
can allow up to 3 board members to attend.
So that's the July 16th.
Okay.
And then, is anybody planning to going to Monona Grove High School on June 25th? That one
I
you'll have,
don't know that that would be,
That's for fire departments, is that with terrorist tactics? Yeah, I don't think that's quite necessary. And friends,
I don't know that we would be, the first line of defense
no.
for something like that.
So, and probably not emergency government, do you wanna offer that to them too, or?
I don't think so. Mike, what do you think? Not that one?
I don't know.
Terrorist tactics and friends?
I want to become a terrorist, I guess.
Yeah, well, you are.
Wait, I'm just
Oh, He's praying again.
crazy.
Then the ISD training, like I said, we had discussed putting that on the agenda some months ago, and I never did do it. But with this, what's going on with this, I would think that we should see if we can get approval. Our lawyer thinks that's okay. Is that what didn't we talk about that one other time?
I don't know what you mean.
But if the board approves it, the ICS training
Hmm.
that we could do at an emergency government meeting,
But you have to each do your own.
I understand that, but if it comes on the screen or whatever,
You have to each do your own. You can't
Yeah.
do it, you can't do it,
You can't do it together.
you can't do it like board of review training,
You'd be
cause
cheating.
you each have to
Right.
take a test and get a certificate at the end, so you'd have to do it
Yeah.
independently.
You'd be cheating.
Yeah, you'd have to do it independently.
but anyway, we'll talk. I want to bring this up.
So,
Let's go back to item L,
yeah,
the consideration for the SRM and USS education opportunities. That's the, excuse me, the Wanakee, presentation on July 16th. I'll make the motion to allow up to 3 board members to attend that training.
Second,
There's a motion and a second.
with
Cool.
per diems.
Well, yeah.
With per diems, correct.
Am I the only one that can make a motion or for the emergency government if they want to go?
He isn't doing that yet. He's on the other
No, but I'll do
agenda.
it
Town board
Tuesday.
About, yeah.
Yeah.
He-
Do we have to do that here though? for the
He's,
emergency?
he's doing a motion on item L, and then M would be that, where that motion would come in.
The ICS stuff is afterwards.
Okay,
So motion and second to approve up to 3 board members to attend the training at Wanakee High School on July 16th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Now, if you wanna talk about the ICS stuff to your folks, Mike?
Okay, so my first thing is wonder if somebody wants to go to this training in Wanakee. That was my point. It was, I guess, was unclear, but
Well,
do I make that choice or?
The board can tell you if you can.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I don't have an issue if your folks
Okay.
wanna go, and I guess,
I'll just bring it up. Maybe nobody will go, you know?
But there's no quorum that we have to worry
no, I mean,
No, but you should maybe decide though if you're gonna pay them per diems and if you wanna limit how many of them go or anything like that and do a motion just like you did with the board.
yeah, there's what, 3 others besides you and Mike, correct, Mike? There's 5 total.
Yeah, right.
6 total.
6 total, yeah.
So it's Stephanie, Richard Wood, Otto Kraus. Who's the other one?
Well, Chris always went.
Oh, that's, no,
Richard,
Chris
Chris
was always
Chris
there.
isn't on the committee though.
Stephanie, did you say?
Yeah,
No, but that's Chris Bowers.
Justin Madison.
no.
No,
Oh,
it's just
I
like.
thought there were 6, cause I always thought they might have a trouble, but no, maybe it is only 1, 2, 3, 4, it is only 5.
Okay, but I'm already included to go, right?
Yes.
Whoever wants to go.
Emergency government.
You're
Yeah,
just
there's
gonna,
just 5.
you're
Yeah.
gonna let me decide?
Sure.
Okay.
And I guess if it's okay with the rest of the board, we allow them to collect the per diem
Yes,
for Mike people to go.
Mm-hmm, sure.
yes.
Are you gonna add that to that other motion or are you gonna do it in a separate motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Fonker, second by Duclay to allow as many members of the Emergency Government Committee as wish to attend the same training at the Wanakee High School on July 15th, and also allow them to collect a per diem for that training. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. ICS training, so is that just gonna be, Kim's going to,
Well, so that's another thing. I mean, I know there was a concern at one point by one of the emergency government members about getting a per diem or something for ICS training. So they weren't just doing it on their own time. So that's another, and that's, so I guess the same question for you guys. Are you gonna, collect per diems if you do those on a day you don't already have a meeting or not? Or, and are you gonna give per diems to emergency government for those? I mean, there's not really a question of, they really should get this training. It's not really like, do they want to? They really should.
and because we're mandating it, that they should be allowed to collect per diem? Consensus?
Seems fair.
So I could tell.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I just, yeah,
We can try and do it all. How much time is involved in these?
Couple of hours.
It's all different. It's all
Yeah,
different.
gets more as you go
As long as,
through it. Yeah.
so, you know, maybe do multiples of one day. or
You
whatever.
can.
Yeah.
So it would be one per diem, probably.
If you wanna do them all in one day, it's a lot for your brain.
Do as many as you can, yeah.
I mean, I guess can't see allowing multiple per diems. I mean,
No.
there's just a per diem,
A per diem.
provided they submit proof of completion.
Yeah.
There
Um,
you go. Yes,
whatever training they're accomplished. Sound fair?
sounds fair.
Do you wanna say they have to take so many courses? How many trainings, or less than two, but
Well, there's only some that are sort of mandatory, actually.
These three.
The
is
first
what
three.
Kim said she'd give us information on.
okay,
So I mean, that's, other than that, you don't, that you're doing the other stuff on your own.
okay. So it'd be the three that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Up to three, I mean, that could be the better part of a day. I mean, if you're,
Yeah.
depending upon your skill level.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I just
So,
feel badly about doing a per diem for that,
Mhm.
for that training.
but if they want more per diems, they're gonna do them on 3 days.
Yeah.
Just
I
saying.
guess, I would wanna hear the rationale behind it.
So they're gonna be encouraged to do multiple ones and they'll get a per diem for completing the first 3, just say that period.
One day, if you wanna complete them in 3 days, one day, I guess you get it per diem.
Correct, or
Just
if
say
I'm
they
sorry,
get
what?
a per diem for,
A
For
per diem,
three,
for
a
the
single
3.
per diem
yes,
for up to 3.
Okay,
3 courses.
Yeah.
that feels good.
same thing for the board.
Yes,
You make a motion to that effect.
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Motion by Duplay, second by Christie, to allow a per diem to the members of the Emergency Government Committee for the completion of the 3 mandatory ICS trainings. And the same would extend to the town board members to complete the 3 mandatory ICS trainings.
Just a question, Otto and Richard both got the ICS 100 first,
Oh, yeah,
so they shouldn't have taken that?
I'll look again,
Well, I
but
think
I,
that's what I took.
That's what I thought it was.
I'll
that the
look,
100 followed by
I'll
the
look.
700.
I think, like, I thought you were supposed to take 700 first, but I did. I took 700 and then 100, 200, 300. I'll look at it and tell you what order, or you can figure it out when I give you the link. It seems like you should by the numbering scheme, and I always thought that was weird, but I think it's, one is IS 700 and then there's ICS 100, 200, 300.
What does Justin have?
Justin has nothing.
Nothing?
Maybe he did at the village,
That's what I wondered.
if he can find his certificates.
Okay.
Dan, what about you?
I haven't done it yet.
I know you haven't.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Find time.
And Linda's on a committee, and I know she was on emergency government, she's taken 3, 4 of these.
Yeah,
Would you want that on the list? If she's got
she's
to-
not she's only on the Parks Commission.
Well, I thought that was all important for emergency government, having parks. Am I wrong again? Am I wrong again?
Stop.
Okay, so
Did you vote on that?
No, not
No.
yet.
All those in favor of the motion, do I need to repeat it?
second,
Sorry.
You're
oh, it's
ready.
already second?
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Dan, it's finally your turn. Public Works.
Road right of way permits with 2, so that's both for Lion Energy. Both are burying power in a couple more areas in the township. Vilas Road, south by Sign and Sign Road will get done too. And then Vilas Hope and Yankee, they're doing like a center section there. They're gonna start placing underground. So,
It seems to be so hodgepodge.
yeah, I know, they're jumping all over the place. But I think Parts of the IS4 already know had the green boxes already, but they still have power lines above, so I don't know. They seem to be burying all the services, you know? They're coming down the pole, putting a ped, and then they're burying into the houses, and then they're running in the right of way, but they're not doing like the whole stretch of road so they can eliminate the poles.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it just seems to be what they're doing, jumping around. Other than that, mowing has started, park mowing.
Yippee.
I guess Earth Day, we had a couple of volunteers, right? The Girl Scouts did Meadow Grove, Ravenwood, and then I think there was a little pile of sticks in Cedar Knolls, so they must have went in that one real quick. But yeah, just a few parks they hit. There really is no garbage in our parks, so I mean, I imagine it was pretty quick and easy for them. A lot of pine cone pickup in Ravenwood and sticks and stuff in Meadow Grove. But yeah, other than that, shouldering, and I got everybody's contacted me, I guess, for road work that came last year, so they should be coming out looking at the roads for road bids, and that'll run one more week with May 16th opening.
May 16th is bid opening?
Yeah, 10 o'clock. Yeah, should be all set. And then solar guys were here today and put on brackets on the salt shed roof. They did nothing out here, so they must be coming back for that. But yeah, they're still on schedule, I guess, for the.
As far as I know, they're going to be doing the panel upgrade Tuesday, so the town hall will be closed on Tuesday.
Next week.
Yeah.
Dan, what time was your road bid opening?
10 a.m. May 16th. And that's all I had.
I think some RVs have been dropped in Bonesack Park.
Really? Need to put out a dumping sign, do we?
Just dump them back over in these here.
Yeah. Put a sign out there saying compost site at 4062 County Highway N. Not the
Not
park
here.
address.
Not here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Don't chop out your new.
Well,
I have a good idea.
Oh.
I've had some few people let me know.
What is what's the ramifications catch the person?
It's not trash, it's just compost.
Yeah, it's a dumping, still could be a dumping violation.
Yeah.
Maybe a minimum kind of thing.
Maybe use a blower, put them back.
Like I said, that's what I said. Just throw it back in the in here.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Board reports and communications. Christie.
Wait, clerk is
Oh,
next.
Oh, okay,
Um,
sorry.
I got several things actually. First of all, there was a power outage, just so you know, over the weekend. I don't know how far it was, but it was definitely the town hall and Flint Hall. I could tell because of the activity logs on the keypad, so that's kind of interesting. But also, you know, the phone system here is set, if the phones go down, it rings my cell phone, and I got a call from somebody that was trying to report a burn permit. So I kind of knew it was down. But this morning when I got here, the phones were completely dead. And what happened was there was a UPS, uninterruptible power source, or a battery backup in the basement of the fire station, which is where the phone system is. And the UPS, it was out long enough that it drained the whole battery of the UPS and it didn't come back up. So Dan had to go over there and get on the phone with Pyramid and basically power cycle or plug it into something else and get it going. He came over today. Matthew from Pyramid came over this afternoon, and I think he put in a new UPS, because that one didn't do what it was supposed to. So we probably are going to be seeing a bill for that. That gets split between us and the village because it's the building. So anyway, there's that. I posted on the website and Facebook today, but, I got copies here if you want a copy of the notice about the PIM for the bridge construction meeting. Notice that that the meeting starts at 5:30, but at 4:30, there's a special public officials meeting. So you guys, if you're coming, should come at 4:30 on the 14th, and that's
right?
here. And if you want a copy of this, you can take one of those to remind yourselves. So that's that. Nick, the assessor, as opposed to all the other Nicks, has proposed some dates for open book and board of review. Open book he wants to do on Friday, May 23rd from 11 to 1 by phone only. And I'm curious what your guys' thoughts of that are.
Friday,
The 23rd, that's open book, so you guys don't have to be here, that's the assessor's open book. So the question for you is, what do you think about him being available to the residents only by phone versus
Do
being
we
here?
ever get anybody?
In the past, we've made him come. I don't know if, he doesn't get very many people in. He always starts out by saying he wants to do it by phone only, but I thought I would ask you guys what you think about that.
Cause he doesn't wanna make the drive down.
I guess. It's 2 hours, 11 to 1, but he's saying phone appointments. So you tell me what you want me to say about that.
I think if I wanted to talk to somebody, I wouldn't want to talk to them over the phone. I want them here. I want them to explain to me why. I want them to show me, where did you come up with your comps for yourself? I mean, that's my opinion. Is it an additional cost if he comes?
It shouldn't be. It's in our contract that he's got to do open book.
I mean, okay.
I don't know if he'd charge mileage, maybe. I don't know. I don't think they usually do, but.
I was
Yeah.
thinking we had him on the screen.
6 of one, half dozen of the other, in my opinion.
Couldn't we do that? Put him on the,
Well, no, I mean, people would call him. They wouldn't have to come here. They would just
Yeah.
call him and
No.
discuss it with him
They-
during that
they
time.
wouldn't even come here, the people?
No. He's just saying he'd be available for phone calls from Town of Cottage Grove residences during that time. Well, appointments, so he'd probably call them at an allotted time.
And then if there's a question, people don't accept, you would have to have a meeting.
Well, we have to have board of review
We
anyway.
have to have it, yeah.
We have to have that anyway, but this is their chance to get their answers with the assessor and see if they can work it out, or if they really do need to come to board of review.
Yeah, I haven't got any problem with that.
Telephone or
Either way.
Yeah.
And either way
we
is
let
fine.
us try it for a year. If people really object to it, then we'd say next year.
It's up to you guys.
Mike? I'm open either way. If Christie wants them to try it this time, let's try it.
I gave my position just because I've had to do that over the phone. It's just not.
It wasn't satisfactory.
It wasn't very fun because I can't ask to look at where they came up with their numbers. It can't show me.
And you don't have any documentation
Right.
from him to look at, right?
Correct. That's why I think maybe moving forward, would be something to consider. But, for me, I would want to see it. I want to look at them and go, okay, where did you come up with your numbers? Where are the comps for it? And then why increase it? You might get a year where nobody will show up. But you might get a year when everyone will show up.
I mean, it's not a reval year or anything like that, so, but, there's always somebody, I think.
Could be either way.
I would say here,
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay.
the consensus is here.
Sure.
And then he also offered a few dates for board of review. The only one that the hall is open is Wednesday, June 4th. So does that all work for you guys? That would be 7 to 9.
I have MPO that night, but I can skip it.
You have what?
The MPO meeting.
Oh, MPO, yeah.
June 4th works for me, it's fine for me.
I'm usually there, so I can skip this one.
So June 4th is good?
Mhm.
Okay.
June 4th is for quarterly.
Board of review.
Board of review.
All right, one more thing that kind of goes back to our discussion about fund balance. And I'm going to hand this out to you because this is a list of all of our assigned, committed, and restricted funds. And I always wonder that you guys don't ask for that more often. And I wonder if you would like to see this report with your monthly financial statements. Not that they change that much, but this is the balance sheet side of your financial statements that shows all the fund balances. And we kind of tend to forget that we have some of that money sitting out there. But what I want to talk about now is, if you remember, we get a big whopping $232 a year that is impact fee for the Rockdale to Middleton ATC line. And we've always assigned that. And the documentation that came with it this year says use of annual high voltage transmission line impact fee is not restricted as to purpose and may be used for general expenditures. So if you see we got like $900 and some built up from other years, and that's what we do, we stick it there and then we forget about it. But there's no reason that we need to have that. And I checked with the auditors and sent them this letter and said, do we need to be assigning these funds, or can we just put that in as a intergovernmental revenue every year and use it, you know? And they said, yeah, we don't have to keep assigning that. So this year, I guess I'm going to put it in there, and then we should decide to use it up. And then next year we'll add a line item to the budget for that as an intergovernmental revenue, unless you have any objections to that. But there's $900 actually plus 232 that just came in that could be used for something too. So, you know, we should use that for something. But anyway, is this a report that you would like to have with your monthly financial statements?
Yeah, I think so.
It doesn't change that much, but you know, I do like when the fire department wants to use some of the ESB funds, then those go down a little bit. And when Pleasant Springs pays, that goes up a little bit, and it does change a little bit here and there.
Dates on these designated, like the welcome sign, is that from years ago?
Yep. Yeah. And that's just money has been sitting there.
There's still money?
There's still money.
Oh, wow. Can we transfer that somewhere else?
You
or-
have to use it for the welcome funds. It's restricted or
Right, so we
committed
got-
or whatever
that
that
was for
would.
the 4 signs.
Yeah.
Big ones, right?
Yeah.
You're
Those.
gonna have to move the one on end here when the bridge reconstruction done, so.
Oh, that'll be, yeah.
That's peanuts, so, yeah.
So
Have
there's
something to have
something
yours
special.
professional landscape.
Yeah, well, that's not a bad idea, because the one out to the east is not maintained hardly at all, and the one down here isn't either, those two, so.
So I think just having that report maybe added every month might help you remember that you do have some money sitting out there that could be used for certain things.
And then we just created a new fund, right?
And I'll create a new fund called whatever Mike said. Yeah. Yeah. What a surprise.
The pirate fund.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Now, Christie.
Okay, I'll talk quickly about the, Towns Association, lobby day last Wednesday at the state capitol. It was significantly smaller than the last time I went, probably 2/3 the size, which is interesting. Number one, legislative priority is transportation, and it was wonderful to visit our two representative and senator and have them be very articulate about the needs for town roads. And I thought these pieces that were developed for the day were excellent. Road deterioration occurs. I mean, Dan teaches all of us all this information, but it's a very easy to understand graphic. And we gave these to our legislators. So, Anyway, our roads were the number one, ask that 62,000 miles or over 53% of Wisconsin's roads are town roads. And yet we're way down on the pecking order for getting funds for this. The other thing that was significant is fire and EMS. And most of the fire departments in the state are volunteer. And, a high percentage of the EMS services, especially in the northern part, are volunteer. And one of the things that they're proposing now, and this is actually in the system, is to help expand the availability of training for EMTs. I mean, we have a paramedic level service here, so it's not really going to affect us. But statewide, I think it's a great idea to encourage people to participate in, take the training, and then to have that training paid for them, so they aren't having to put money out to get trained to volunteer for the service. So there was some, and great support was reported from both parties for supporting towns with funding for transportation and for emergency services, public service. So that was the main thing. Thank you.
I think that was in the Wisconsin Town Association,
Yeah, it was.
but it was more that they were looking at though. It was
Yeah.
for giving them some money to pay people,
Exactly.
part-time people for, to be called out on,
Exactly.
ambulance services and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to encourage, intergovernmental agreements for, isn't that an interesting idea? Yes. There's also some interest expressed for doing this countywide, so that it'd be a Dane County EMS service, Jefferson County, Columbia County. We'll see where that goes. That was the main thing I wanted to share.
Are those
I'm glad I
handouts
went.
right there, or?
Do you want to pass them around so they can see them? I think they're excellent. You can look at them. They'll come back. If you want to take them home with you, you can take them home with you.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Um,
I think,
I've got a couple of things.
oh, these are all different?
They are,
Oh,
they're all
okay.
different, so just look at them, and I thought they were excellent.
Okay, I know that.
Here, you can look at this, because this talks about them. You can get my notes. I wrote notes on a lot of them, not all of them.
Kim and I met with the Houstons last Friday morning here at the town hall. The Houstons were presenting, I guess, for lack of a better word. Oh, Mark Roffers, our town planner, was here. Nick from Countrywide, our engineer, was here. Kim and I, and the Houstons.
And Dan.
Huh?
And Dan.
Oh, and Dan, sorry. The Houstons opened up and showed us what they're proposing for the NatBig and interchange down here. They have a couple of big lots for some folks who, they wouldn't tell us who they were, but some definite interest, serious interest in developing on this side of what I would consider our business park area. They also are willing to go ahead and build NatBig East all the way to North Star.
Ooh, whoa,
Well, that's good for them. I mean,
yes.
it's a good deal.
That's great.
Cause we're working with Donnie Vinny on the other
Right.
part down there.
Yes.
So this is all kind of coming together there. They also have been working with Mr. Bertucci and Mr. Benovitz. and have worked out an agreement with them. So part of their area that they had set aside for us, for the town road, it's gonna get worked into, the Houston's road. So it was looking very, very positive. The intersection with N is still, kinda up in the air right now. We're trying to get, a meeting with one of the, senior deputy and, highway commissioners with the county to see what, their final word is going to be on how the intersection is gonna need to be constructed. Above and beyond what's already there.
Meaning
And-
expanding the turnoff lanes and.
Yeah, I mean, there's, Houston's on the pit side of there, that inner part of the interchange with Natvic is actually set up for big trucks and it's been working quite well, but the county says, let's go bigger. And then they also want bike lanes in the area down there, just for the bike lanes to nowhere.
Yeah.
So,
Why do they always insist on bike paths to nowhere?
Just think of the extra money that's been spent.
yes, so as soon as we get an audience with the county highway folks, I'll report back and see how potentially the intersection would eventually shape up.
Well, are they looking for us to pay anything? Because they said originally that they would pay for it. After we had our meetings, and I talked to them, and they said didn't even come up. But they pay for it.
Yeah, they have not, let's put it this way, they have not officially asked for the town's pocketbook to be open.
Good.
Okay,
They're hoping to not have to do anything on the west side again, though.
correct,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
gee, that
yes,
makes no sense.
It's been
I
longer,
would agree.
it's been longer ago than they realized though,
Yeah,
when they did that improvement,
yeah.
and that road is
Um,
getting cracked up again.
and then also, one of the things that I promised myself I would do was to go around to some of our neighboring townships and introduce myself. And tomorrow evening, I'm on the agenda at the town of Pleasant Springs, so I'll be attending their town board meeting down there. Nothing specific, on the agenda, but just kind of open up the lines of communication so they know who I am. I know Dick Green, the town chair down there, but the other town board members, I don't. Well, we know Faye from EMS, Faye from EMS, and from fire. She's
Fire too.
coming to fire meetings also.
And she's at the lobby day as well.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
So, actually, I think that's been pretty much it. As far as meeting with folks, nobody else.
I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah. Next item, committee reports, Deer Grove EMS.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
we received the letter that says the union wishes to start negotiations and they will be using, their union reps to do the negotiating this time. I think last time when Chris did the negotiations, he negotiated with your son.
Yes.
The Deer Grove EMS paramedics represented themselves.
How many
Yeah.
people are in the union?
Double digits, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It is now double digits.
Yeah. And
24/7 coverage, both stations.
Yeah, and just to let you know that my son is no longer part of Deer Grove, he's now the
Yeah, I
deputy
knew
chief at Fitzrona, so
I just
there's
saw
no
that.
impropriety or any kind of, collusion going on between at least the town and the EMS and stuff like that, so.
At our April meeting, we had one new member from the village, and that new member is Paula Severson. And, she wishes to be involved in negotiations. Her husband is part of Deer Grove EMS.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you all have a problem with her being on the negotiating team because of that.
ahead.
I do,
I have a little bit of a problem with it.
I do.
She should stand off at least an arm length distance.
That would be my preference as well.
Well, they wouldn't, she wanted to be the head of emergency government, on emergency government committee, but the president didn't give her that job. So that's why I don't understand that.
The bargaining unit is considered for full-time employees, not for volunteers. Eric Severson is a volunteer. Keep that in mind.
That's a good point.
Well, she made the motion to appoint the committee with herself on it, Carrie Hewitt from Deerfield and yours truly. And that passed, so.
I have no problem with it. She's as much of a supporter of the town of anybody in the
Oh, I know she
whole
is.
village.
It's
Yeah.
just that my value system when I was growing up was that if I was going to, or anyone in my family was going to, in any tiny way, stay away. Wasn't for me. So, but, you know, I may be just more conservative than anybody
But
else.
you got a person that's not even, her husband's not even in the union.
No, I
He's
know.
part-time, so, I mean, he's not gonna be involved in anything. It's a little different situation there.
Eric, do you have anything else you wish to add?
No, I think that's it. We had the preliminary audit report that said that we're in good shape. Our fund balance, which we were concerned might take a hit because of reimbursement, did not. It grew. Our reimbursement has been good so far for the year and is staying similar. And just the big topics of we'll have a union negotiation and making sure we can keep what we've got.
And our call numbers are up again this year over last year. And they were up last year over the previous year, so. They're busy.
Is that mostly in the village? The big
Yes,
keeps going up?
yes.
No, our increase isn't just specifically in the village. It's been across the board.
But the
Uh,
biggest,
I think of note, we've also had an increase in the acuity of our patients, so that we've been taking care of a lot of sick people lately.
I assume Deer Grove was called when the unfortunate accident happened in the village last week where a woman was.
They got called out of the meeting.
Oh, wow, how sad, how
Eric,
tragic.
yeah, that was tragic, but
Tragic.
that car that was down by the going into Madison there, when all the ambulance and police were there and it was out in the field, the white car upside down and all smashed up. That was never in the paper or anything. I wondered what that was.
That's going down by Violence?
No, it was on DD going into town, right past the church.
Yeah, it was a crash, not anyone severely injured that I recall. It was a borderline type crash as well, where it got called in at BB and Vilas Hope, but it was actually located more towards the church, which is actually in the city of Madison.
Oh, but you guys were all there. I noticed that seemed like
Yeah, when they figured out exactly where it was, they sent the city, and then between Cottage Grove Fire and City of Madison, they worked out the who's response and who's going to take care of it and everything.
Boy, that looks like a really bad one there. I wonder how somebody would not have been killed. Car was upside down and way out in the field. And there's not even other cars, entrances anywhere there. It's crazy. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that was last week Monday. It was a crazy crash day because there was I think MN and AB had another crash that didn't make sense. It was a normal, clear, dry day.
Thank you, Eric.
Sure. You all have a good night.
Cottage Grove Fire Commission.
We met and installed Steve as the new chair. Renee is is the new secretary. And Heidi is gonna be the vice chair. And we asked the chief about his 5-year plan, and he says that he's working on it. He just got the ISO survey done. And we might have to chip in for another PAA type service to define what we're gonna need for a 5-year plan, if the village is gonna force us to do this.
Oh, bring somebody in again, you mean? My God,
I'm just reporting.
yeah, I
I'm
got it,
just
yeah.
telling you, just so you're aware of it.
When did you hear that?
This past Monday,
Yeah, at the fire commission.
No, fire commission, yeah.
They replaced all the garage door openers on.
yep, and there was some miscommunication with that. But he thinks they've got it figured out now,
They just showed up unannounced and,
and didn't they weren't cleared to open all the way or close all the
Oh,
way
yeah,
or
I
something.
remember that, I don't remember the thing
well,
about
they
5-year
left,
plan.
they actually came on Friday, started their work unannounced.
Yeah, I remember that.
Chief Lang was able to get there, then they just kind of disappeared at the end of the day without telling anybody, and there was some doors that weren't operating quite properly, and
I remember that.
that's been
yeah.
since rectified, but, yeah. And,
Kind of a food bar type situation.
that was about it for fire.
Yep, so we'll see what happens. They said Peter Dahl was supposed to be there, but he didn't show, but they're gonna probably establish the 7th board member. Whenever they decide on who that is, that's gonna be on the fire commission.
The 7th, so the village would have
They have a
3,
3 and 3.
so it's okay, 1, 2, but who's the other one? You're gonna be chairman, right?
Yeah, you, me, and Mike
Yeah,
are on our side, and then
Renee's gonna be secretary,
well, those two and,
and
Yeah,
Heidi's
so-
gonna be
vice
Vice
chair,
chair.
we don't know who the third is on the village side. They haven't made an appointment yet.
They have a vacancy on their board.
yes, and that could be tied 3-3 for a long time. Long time.
Anything else?
I move we adjourn.
Non-debatable, all those in favor?
Well,
so
you need a
who's for
second.
I'll second it.
All right, non-debatable, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.